A very good evening to you and welcome to another Wednesday journey across the country for news and reviews from NTA News Top Table. Tonight, the National Assembly looks to tackle insecurity with proactive legislation. Electoral Act Amendment Bill to come under the gavel Thursday. And with an eye on transport infrastructure development, roads and bridges take center stage as we track what is on track. Also on the news, we have a sweet tale of the federal government's sugar master plan and the not-so-palatable report on rising cases of illicit drugs. There is also a story that attempts to untangle the reef knot of climate change, charcoal, and livelihoods. These and more tonight. I am Fatima Omaruba and this is News Extra. So, shall we begin? Yes, we shall. Now, the Federal Executive Council has approved the construction and reconstruction of 5 critical roads infrastructure projects in parts of the country at the cost of 309.9 billion naira. Works and Housing Minister Babatunde Fashola announced this while briefing journalists after the council's meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports on this and other resolutions adopted by members.
The 5 roads projects totaling 274.9 kilometers are to be executed by Dangote Group under the tax credit policy, one of the strategic partnership between the federal government and the private sector on the development of infrastructure. The roads are Bama to Banki, as well as Dikwa to Gamborungala in Borno State, Western Bypass in Kaduna, Deep Sea Port Access Road in Lagos State, and Obele, Ilaro, Pakwalanto, Shagamu Road in Ogun State.
This will be the largest single award of concrete roads ever undertaken by the government of Nigeria in one award.
204.4 million naira has also been approved for the completion of Makel Imodu Gomo Afo Junction Road in Kwara State. The Minister of Power, Salim Mamman, also announced the Council's approval of over $40 million as well as 10 billion naira for the provision of power transmission lines and substations in Abia, Kogi, and Cross River states. His health counterpart, Dr. Osage Ihanere, also secured approval of 5.5 billion naira for the procurement of test kits for HIV/AIDS and syphilis, as well as equipment for the upgrade of 6 NAFDAC laboratories in the country.
The third one is a new vaccine laboratory that will help us when we start manufacturing vaccines. As you know, NAFDAC is a regulatory organ, and their job is to test vaccines that are produced, whether they are fit or not. In order to do that, they must have a laboratory, they must have the WHO approval of what you call maturity level 3.
Over 3 billion naira is to be expended on the project. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, also got approval of over 754 million naira for the provision of desired communications gadgets as well as command and control center.
This is to enable the EFCC to comply with modern-day investigative techniques and improve its operational efficiency and support the administration of criminal justice system in the country, basically defensive and offensive cybersecurity systems.
For the transportation sector, 1.5 billion naira has been approved in respect of roads construction at the Federal Ocean Terminal at One River State, while 161 million naira is to be expended on consultancy services in respect of BU mega water supply project in Borno State. Malam Garba Shehu also announced the approval of the formalization and deployment of special police services for big corporations and other interested institutions for a fee in a transparent and accountable manner.
Part of the revenue will go to the federal government, part of it will go to the police, part of it will go into police allowances. This is something that has gone on for many years, and it happens in virtually all countries of the world. In our own case, it had remained non-formalized, and government is concerned that leakages in revenue and incomes should be blocked.
In the meantime, shortly after the meeting of the Federal Executive Council, President Muhammadu Buhari granted audience to Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State. Their meeting, held behind closed doors, lasted over 40 minutes, but details of their discussions were not made public. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And just before the Federal Executive Council meeting, President Buhari sworn in 5 newly appointed permanent secretaries to fill existing vacancies in the Federal Civil Service. Again, Adamu Sambu has the details.
Emerged from a rigorous screening exercise, including a written examination, ICT competency test, as well as an oral interview, the new permanent secretaries represent states where vacancies existed. They are Olusegun Olofunsho Adeniyi, Ekiti State; Marian Ngozi Onwudiwe, Enugu; Ibrahim Yusuf Idris, Katsina; Marcus Olaniyi, Lagos; and Ibrahim Abubakar Kana, Nasarawa State. The brief swearing-in ceremony, conducted in compliance with the COVID-19 safety advisory, was devoid of any presidential address. Congratulations. The head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Dr. Folashade Yemi Eshong, however, speaks on the government's expectations from the new appointees.
The position of the permanent secretary is one that is very demanding, and so they need to put in everything. They need to be accountable to God, first of all, and then to the country, Nigeria, and to Mr. President. They also need to work with a lot of integrity. The service needs a breath of fresh air of integrity.
Some of the permanent secretaries spoken to by NTA News promised to live above board in discharging their responsibilities.
This is an added feather to our cap, and they say to whom much is given, much is expected. This is a time for us as federal permanent secretaries to work assiduously to support the government, especially Mr. President, in his quest towards actually getting Nigeria to the next level and ensuring that we provide what is best to the people of Nigeria.
I've worked all these years in the Federal Civil Service from 1992 till date, and there's been all service to the nation, and I'm not sure I'm going to stop what I have been doing. Instead, the challenge is more, and I'm going to face it with all due diligence and ensure that I deliver to the people of Nigeria what they expect from government.
What will Nigerians expect from you as permanent secretary?
An efficient service delivered with fear of Almighty Allah. We'll do our best to support the government to execute its programs. Loyalty to the president, to the country, to make sure we help him to implement his programs.
We have gathered a lot of experience with civil service, and it's a very good thing to be appointed to the top echelon of the service. So what we should do is to hit the ground running. So I'm sure all my colleagues are going to hit the ground running. I'm going to support every effort of the president, so at least we make sure that we do all our best.
The permanent secretaries were appointed from the various eligible directors in the federal ministries, departments and agencies. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari says his administration is ready to use everything within its powers to end insecurity in the country and bring perpetrators of criminal activities to book. The president, who spoke on Tuesday at a dinner with the 469 members of the National Assembly held at the State House Conference Center, Abuja, said insecurity manifesting as insurgencies, banditry, kidnapping and urban crime of all sorts is the single most difficult challenge the country is facing. State House correspondent Gideon Ifadi reports.
There is so much to celebrate by the executive and the legislature, but for the irate of insecurity, which President Muhammadu Buhari is expressing concern that insecurity had inhibited government's ability to build infrastructure, provide the much-needed social services to the people, and to attract investment that drive innovation, create industries, and provide jobs and create wealth. As the president says, some of the people who perpetuate these various manifestations of insecurity do so for profit others in the name of discredited ideologies.
I congratulate you all and thank you for your contributions to the difficult yet necessary task of nation building. It is our collective fate to have come into office at a time of significant challenges for our country. Overcoming these challenges require that we finally confront long-ignored questions of economics, politics, law, and history that are often at the root of our national problems.
President Muhammadu Buhari hailed the 9th National Assembly for discharging their legislative duties with maturity and competence, describing the legislature as full partners in national development. The president particularly commends the minority parties in the legislature for their cooperation and support for government programs.
This moment in history requires us to make hard choices, take difficult decisions, and act with diligence and patriotism to ensure that our country can survive and thrive long after we have all left. What this means, in effect, is that our jobs will not get any easier. However, the objectives we seek and will work together to achieve deserve our best efforts, regardless the sacrifice.
We are prepared to receive the 2022 appropriation bill at the end of September by the grace of God. Ours is to continue with that our commitment of ensuring that we work on whatever is submitted to us, that we scrutinize and conduct all the necessary legislative duties to ensure that our scarce resources are properly targeted and prudently utilized.
I believe before we go on Thursday, we'll have a new electoral act. And in the new year, we intend to bequeath the country a constitutional amendment that is worthy of the name amendment, which hopefully will go beyond tinkering at the edges and bringing us substantial change in Nigeria. None of our many achievements would have been possible, Mr. President, save that you cooperated with us and saw us as partners in progress.
The president said he looked forward to continued collaboration and partnership between the executive and legislative arms of government, working together to achieve a shared vision of a peaceful and prosperous country. From the banquet hall of the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Senate is set to pass the anticipated Electoral Act Amendment Bill, reaffirmed commitment towards ensuring that the consideration of the amendment will be on national interest. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Umpo reports that President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, was speaking when the Senate Committee on the Independent National Electoral Commission laid its report on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill.
Submission of the report of the Senate Committee on the Independent National Electoral Commission on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill was the first item on the order of the day. After the report was laid for consideration on Thursday, President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, made some clarifications.
Some of those accusing the leadership of the National Assembly are misinformed. Some are simply mischievous. This is the first time this report is laid here. And therefore, whatever will be discussed or considered about the Electoral Act Amendment Bill will be on the basis of what has been presented to the Senate here. If anybody feels very strongly about anything, lobby distinguished senators to canvass for your position rather than blackmail leadership.
Senate thereafter approved the report of its Committee on Public Accounts on queries raised by the Auditor General of the Federation against some ministries, departments and agencies of government for 2015. It recommended, among other issues, that the Accountant General of the Federation should address retirement of advances with strict and strong sanctions to serve as deterrents, while the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation should stop further deductions at source.
NMPC, what the Commission says that everything that's accruable must first be paid to the Federation account, and that is the provision in the Constitution.
What will be very important is to ensure that we send these resolutions to the appropriate quarters for immediate implementation.
Deputy Minority Leader of the Senate, Emmanuel Buacha, poured encomium on the Judge of the Federal High Court, Jalingo, Justice Amobeda Simon, for what he described as providing justice for 14 helpless young men from Takum, Taraba State.
I must commend the President of the Federal High Court for the due diligence he employed to send a bold and a courageous judge to speak truth to power.
While Senator Sadiq Umar drew the attention of the Senate to the death of 6 members of a family in Kwara State alleged to have been caused by food poison, Senate observed a minute silence in their honor.
The Olori village in Bani community in Kayama local government, Kwara State, woke up with a devastating news, only to discover that there is a macaroni brand that was brought into the community that they bought, and that is what is responsible.
Senate has approved the report of its Committee on Legislative Compliance, which recommended, among several issues, that all security agencies should effectively collaborate with the Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy on making sure that the use of telecommunication, especially handsets, is adopted in detection of crime in the country. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Now, during the National Summit on Security convened by the House of Representatives a couple of weeks ago, stakeholders shared perspective on ways to arrest the situation. And in walking the talk, the House has commenced a series of legislative interventions to further restore law and order through enhanced modulus operandi among the security and related agencies. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali has the details.
A concern that resonated at the summit was the lack of desired cooperation between and among the various agencies saddled with the task of securing the lives of citizens and public property. The inhibiting factors, as unanimously agreed, are the extant laws guiding the operation of the armed forces, the police, Civil Defense Corps, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, and related agencies, all of which prevent effective intelligence sharing. The House, as plenary Wednesday, passed for second reading 7 amendment bills that seek to engender collaboration and institutionalize synergy among them, and also make the criminal justice system more responsive.
Police and other security agencies, and to provide for the operational framework for community policing in Nigeria.
Collaboration between the Corps and the relevant security agencies to strengthen its complementary role in the maintenance of public law and order.
To amend the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps Act 2003 to institutionalize collaboration.
To foster collaboration between the armed forces and other security agencies in the provision of national security and establish the Armed Forces Human Rights Unit to provide a reportorial channel for civilians.
Other bills passed at second reading are the bill pertaining ECOWAS Convention on Small Arms and Light Weapons, the bill to establish Federal Institute of Fisheries in Delta State, and the bill to increase retirement age of judges. Meanwhile, the House has urged authorities to curtail armed banditry in parts of Kaduna State, as raised by Amos Magaji.
Federal government to establish a military command, battalion, and/or brigade in Zango and Katab local government area.
It also appealed for assistance to victims of recent devastating flood in Taraba State, as moved by Kasimu Megari.
There was a flood on the 10th of July, which affected more than 300 houses, farmlands, and some business areas.
A motion to immortalize the author of the national pledge from Olajide Olatubosun was adopted. The laying of the report of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill during plenary has paved the way for its passage Thursday, as reassured by the House. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
So other stories now. The Supreme Court has granted an interim order stopping the implementation of the new revenue allocation for the disputed oil fields between Imo and Rivers states, pending the determination of a substantive suit filed before it in June this year. This order followed an ex parte motion filed by the Rivers State government, and Femi Okeo has that.
There had been a long-standing dispute between Imo and Rivers State on the boundary demarcation and ownership of the Akri and Mbede oil fields. Pending the full resolution of that dispute, a 50-50 sharing formula was adopted for the revenue accruing for the wells to the two states. The interim order, which was taken ex parte by the Supreme Court and in chambers, is to restrain the federal government and its agencies from departing from the current 50-50 sharing formula applied to Rivers and Imo State in respect of the revenue which the oil fields have been providing. Because it was an ex parte motion filed by the Rivers State government, only the Rivers State officials were in court.
We disagreed and came to the Supreme Court because our suit is here. The proceedings are before the court, and we brought an ex parte application asking the court to disapprove of that practice by Imo State government. And happily today, the court has upheld the rule of law.
This interim order given by the Supreme Court paves way for all the parties to this dispute to put up their processes for the hearing of the substantive matter, which begins to come up at the Supreme Court on the 21st of September. From the Supreme Court, Femi Okeo, NTA News.
The Northeast region is attracting new inputs from the existing act establishing the Northeast Development Commission to revive economic activities occasioned by insurgency and improve on the security atmosphere for other human activities to thrive. This is coming as the Commission is engaging critical stakeholders in driving a process for the implementation of the Northeast Stabilization and Development Master Plan. Abakar Usman Akwanga has the report.
Prolonged distortion of socio-economic activities as a result of insurgency has led to low investment in the Northeast region. The relative peace enjoined is now putting stakeholders on their toes to develop a new strategy for reversing the trend and explore workable models to come up with a master plan for stabilization.
The Act stated that the master plan is supposed to be focused towards a period of up to 2030, which is a 10-year lifespan, starting from 2020-2030. So the roadmap is to define all the schemes and projects and programs that will be delivered in the region, including what every state is doing, including what the federal government is doing, and then to identify the gaps where maybe NEDC and other critical stakeholders can also come in.
The implementation of the blueprint to cover all sectors is also interesting stakeholders.
All the state government have their own master plan or development plan. At the end of the day, we're going to harmonize all this into one. And if, for instance, there's any agency or NGO doing something education, it might fit into what is in the master plan.
We look forward to continued partnership with the NEDC through the leadership and the development, implementation of this important master plan to support communities, peace and development in the Northeast region.
Far-reaching solutions to address contemporary security challenges to infrastructure in the region is also to come up for discussion.
Cannot wait until total peace, total in quotes, is achieved. So each area will be addressed by the plan, looking at the prevailing situation.
This is considered as one of the major steps backed by the 2017 Act establishing the Northeast Development Commission to fast-track the speedy recovery and resettlement of IDPs occasioned by the activities of the Boko Haram insurgents in the Northeast region of the country. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
Thank you, Abubakar. President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated Honorable Justice Ademola Bakari at 90. In a statement, President Buhari recognized him as an accomplished public servant in the then Western region. The president extolled his enduring qualities of hard work, honesty, dedication and passion as a respected jurist, publisher and author who cherished truth, fairness and equity in the dispensation of justice. President Buhari joined family, friends and well-wishers of Justice Bakari to pray God to preserve him for many more years. It's time for us to take our first break, but fasten your seatbelt for a roller coaster ride by road, rail and even a potential rocket flight into space as our correspondents are at their best with stories around transportation, all for your viewing pleasure when News Extra returns. Great to have you back on News Extra. Ahead of the groundbreaking ceremony of Kano-Kaduna Rail Corridor, stakeholders and members of business community in Kano are optimistic about the project due to its potential of providing ease of doing business in the northern commercial capital. Our Salisu reports that the multi-billion-naira project will be commissioned by President Muhammadu Buhari this Thursday.
The Kano-Kaduna rail line is one of the first standard gauge railway modernization projects undertaken by President Muhammadu Buhari with a view to replace the existing narrow gauge system while allowing high-speed train operations on the railway network. The aim is to deliver modern railway services that will provide an efficient and cost-effective alternative transport system for economic growth and creation of job opportunities for the citizenry. The standard gauge rail line, when completed, turned to create the much-needed socio-economic transformation and enhance more efficient mode for mass transit and freight services. With groundbreaking ceremony expected tomorrow, stakeholders and members of the business community in Kano State said the project will boost the nation's economic landscape and witness unprecedented transformation while having an impact on reducing the cost of goods.
I believe when the costs of logistics is reduced and efficiency in the transport logistics business is improved, then definitely everybody will be better for it. There will be tremendous benefits.
The siting of such an important project in the state is highly commendable.
This particular project, it is agreed that, or it is established that a container from Lagos to Kano will not cost much more than 300,000, which will now translate into a reduction of cost to both the importers as well as the ultimate consumers of that particular product that comes about.
They call on federal government to ensure timely completion of the project to ease movement of cargo from south to northern part of the country and beyond. In Kano, Awal Salisu, NTA News.
And if it takes prioritizing availability of functional infrastructure to be associated with sustainable development, then here is a further justification for the federal government to lay the foundation stone of the new Kaduna-Kano standard gauge rail line modernization project, expected to be performed by President Muhammadu Buhari this Thursday in Kano. And from Kaduna, Hamza Musa Makarfi reports on the strategic initiative long awaited by the people.
Kaduna, mega city, capital of all northern regional government, is remarkably strategic as an industrial hub and vibrant commercial nerve center. This qualification makes it tick under federal government's 25-year vision for railway sector development.
Actualizing this important vision of the federal government in this new corridor also means bringing to life businesses like this of warehousing, where finished products and produce are kept to move the economy forward.
To the beautiful city.
Abuja-Kaduna standard gauge line is in service since July 2016. Lagos-Ibadan standard gauge is achieved as prospect is high for additional segment of Kaduna-Kano and ongoing Kano-Maradi linking Niger Republic.
The connection through rail would position Nigerian ports as the choice for import and export business of the people of landlocked Niger Republic.
Findings show Nigerian government paid $218 million of the total $1.2 billion expected to fund Kaduna-Kano project.
Mr. President is fulfilling one of his campaign promises, and I think everyone is happy about this development.
It will also be a good benefit to those people that are doing business.
That step is not only going to encourage the commercial businesses, it's not going to bring Nigeria to the modern technological world development.
Before end of the year, funding will reach $600 million as part of deliberate policy to minimize borrowing, and that will translate into promoting economic well-being of Nigerians while linking them with the rest of sub-Saharan Africa. In Kaduna, Hamza Musa Makarfi, NTA News.
Yes, we all know President Muhammadu Buhari will on Thursday, 15th July 2021, lay the foundation stone for the construction of Kano, Abuja section of the Lagos-Kano Railway Modernization Project. The project is among the 25-year vision approved by the federal government for the rail transportation industry back in 2002. Joseph Oreste reports.
Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, issued a statement on the laying of foundation stone for the construction of Kano-Abuja section of the Lagos-Kano Railway project by President Muhammadu Buhari, saying government is poised to use the system to boost regional and international trade and investment. In 2002, the federal government approved the construction of the Lagos-Kano Railway Modernization Project, which was then assigned to a Chinese company, China Civil Engineering Construction Company. A supplementary agreement was signed on the 22nd of October 2002 for the implementation of the Abuja-Kaduna segment of the rail line. This section has been completed and inaugurated by the Muhammadu Buhari administration. Other segments of the railway project include the 156.8 kilometers Lagos-Ibadan double track signed for construction in 2012. Also in 2016, an agreement was reached between the federal government and the Chinese company for an extended distance of 8.57 stretching to Apapa Port. In June this year, President Buhari visited Lagos State and inaugurated the project. The same vein, the construction of the proposed Kano-Ibadan section, which traversed Oyo, Osun, Kwara, Niger, Abuja, Kano, Kaduna, and Kano State, was signed in 2019. The federal government says the rail line project is also to accelerate trade and investment within the West African sub-region, where the 15 ECOWAS states committed to sub-regional railway network. The federal government says the rail line project is to accelerate trade and investment within the West African sub-region, as the 15 ECOWAS states are committed to sub-regional rail network. As the president laid the foundation stone for the construction of Kano-Abuja section of the Lagos-Kano Railway Modernization Project, Thursday, 15 July 2021, the administration wishes to create a condition for economic cooperation, material and personnel exchange within regions and surrounding countries. In Abuja, Joseph Utsen, NTA News.
And from Abuja, we head to Port Harcourt now, where the ongoing construction of Bonny Link Road in Rivers State by the federal government after several years of neglect has set a new template of infrastructural development in the coastal communities of the Niger Delta region. The project connecting the Bonny oil and gas terminals to the hinterland is expected to address the plight commuters face on the waterways on a daily basis. Robinson Deradaiti has an update on the project.
Yes, residents of Andoni and Bonny have been transporting their goods and materials through barges and boats, contending with hazard on the waterways. Attempt by successive governments to construct the road was unfruitful until October 2017, when the present administration of President Muhammadu Buhari re-awarded the project to Julius Berger. It is a public-private project estimated at over 120 billion naira between the federal government and the Nigerian Natural Liquefied Gas Company. The road is about 40 kilometers and over 37% of it has been completed, with vehicles plying it.
It will bring more development to Ghana here,
And the kind of people are very happy about it. When it was bad, to even pass this road, go to near a neighboring community was very difficult because we experienced flat tire, accident, and a lot. But since they are doing this work on this road, we are enjoying it.
A single carriage road with 13 bridges, 3 are major bridges with not less than 500 meters long, and a pipeline crossing bridge to protect oil facilities. Presently, 5 bridges are 80% completed.
This is Nanabiye Creek, where the 3rd major bridge will be constructed. It will take less than 10-minute drive from here to Bonny Highland.
In terms of physical achievement, we have completed the first 5 kilometers up to final level. We have completed one of the 3 major bridges. We have completed 3 mini bridges. We have completed 1 bridge over pipeline crossing at the Bonny end of the project.
With the slow pace of work, is there assurance of meeting up with the 2022 deadline?
Presently, they have applied to the engineer to permit them to work overtime on Sunday, Saturday, Sunday, and at night. If we can't beat that deadline, definitely we will not extend it beyond extra 1 year.
The socio-economic benefits of the Bodo-Bonny Road cannot be overemphasized, as the development will lead to low cost of goods and services, and ultimately, the standard of living will be significantly improved. This, no doubt, is a fulfillment of one of the cardinal objectives of the Buhari-led administration. From Bodo in River State, Robinson Daratede, NTA News.
Rigachukun Bridge. The name rings a bell, right? Yes, it is a major link to several states across the northwest, but strangely, it has defied measures to keep it motorable, especially during the peak of the rains. Abdullahi Mohammed examines the failure, remediation works and plight of motorists on the bridge.
It took weeks and a couple of failed attempts by engineers and machines to nip the symptoms of distress emerging from the Rigachukun Bridge, which led to its closure for weeks last year. With the rains at its peak this year, the signs of collapsing has again resurfaced, and the immediate sealing of the bridge became necessary. These not only exerts pressure on the only alternative lane, but traffic congestion and loss of man-hours to motorists.
Most of these bridges have been there for more than 50 years.
There is no contest that each bridge built has a lifespan. But what is baffling to the eyes of a layman like me is that only one lane of the Rigachukun Bridge keeps failing and also defying remediation works. While searching for scientific theories that could provide answers to the layman's perception of what is happening to the bridge, I consulted a soil expert whose explanations sounds convincing.
Within the 2 legs of the bridges, if you take a profile of that particular area, it cannot give you, might likely not give you the same results. You have 2 different rock types with different mineralogical composition. It means if it has 2 different mineralogical composition, that's what we call Atabat limit. That's the tendency to be able to withstand certain weight might be different.
But the cheering news is that the Ministry of Works and Housing is also adopting the approach postulated by the soil expert.
Our team of engineers are doing deep soil investigation to determine if there is maybe earth movements which naturally may not be visible to the human eyes. And then seismic surveys are being conducted to determine how the structural integrity of the bridge itself. So I believe from the studies we'll be able to determine what exactly needs to be done.
Rigachukun Bridge links more than 5 states across the northwest and by extension 3 others in the northeast. In Abuja, Abdullahi Mohammed, NTA News.
Thank you, Abdullahi. Now, Gombe State is equipped to combat fire outbreaks and other emergencies requiring quick response. Emmanuel Akilo reports that this is made possible because the state now owns the modern firefighting equipment delivered to the state by the Controller General of the Federal Fire Service and inaugurated by Governor Mohammed Ino Yahya.
Show of force by firemen to demonstrate the capability of the new firefighting equipment deployed to Gombe State by the Federal Fire Service. Governor Mohammed Ino Yahya, who inaugurates the equipment, appreciates the federal government for concern in safeguarding the lives and property of Nigerians.
We are making a lot of effort now to open up, especially those areas that have no access. In the local settlements of the people, we are trying to provide access so that fire service, securities, network, and all social services will get to the people for them to have the positive impact of government.
To effectively attend to fire disasters and other emergencies, the base of the fire service is always very important, and their location in Gombe State, the controller says, is strategic in giving them advantage to attend to emergencies.
In disaster management, what is important is response time. And if you put us in an extreme corner, we have to be traveling to another extreme corner. But when we're in the center, we can cover less distance to attend to emergency.
The equipment also comes with kits for firemen to help them execute emergency duties effectively. In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
And to a bit on education now, the Registrar of Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAM, Professor Ishak Oluyede, has called on government to create strategies in combating examination fraudsters who, under the guise of tutorial classes, are forging A-level qualifications, thereby corrupting the country's education system. Professor Oluyede stated this at the foundation-laying ceremony of JAM International Talent Resort at Bogong, Osun State. Femi Afariogun reports.
Eminent personalities took turn to lay the foundation stone of the proposed JAM's International Talent Resort located at Baga area of Osun State. The world-class ultra-modern educational facility is to serve as a hub for researchers and scholars engaged by JAM for academic purposes.
There is a spike in the number of undesirable elements who are compromising the integrity of public examinations. Standard facilities such as the one we are putting in place today will enhance the efforts of the board in combating such evil.
Oluyede represents a shining gladiator in this quest, and as a state, we are proud to be associated with him.
Let me assure you that on our part as a community, we are fully prepared to ensure the security of both personnel, materials, equipment, and machinery of our benefactor, JAM.
Meanwhile, drawing from the successes recorded by the examination body in reducing malpractice in UTME, JAM Registrar Professor Oluyede wants same measures extended to other examinations such as IGMB and JUPEB, as it reacts to the call in some quarters for the cancellation of the last UTME results.
When people are defeated and they are fraudsters, they must respond. You can't kill people. They had planned examination malpractice and we blocked all the avenues for them. When
completed, the center will have, among other facilities, 4 CBT centers with a total seating capacity of 1,000 and a researchers village. From Bongon, Femi Afariogun, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has sent warm greetings to Babatunde Ogala, a senior advocate of Nigeria and former national legal advisor of the All Progressives Congress APC, on his 60th birthday, whose knowledge and experience have been most valuable to the country. President Buhari knows the contributions of the former APC legal advisor to the growth of democracy and good governance in the country, most profoundly in interpreting the constitution and manifesto of the party and guiding leaders to keep their promises, a feat the president attributes to his fear of God, love for humanity and passion for the good of the country. As the notable lawyer and party loyalist turns 60, the president prays for longer life and more wisdom for service. In the meantime, President Muhammadu Buhari and the First Lady Aisha Buhari rejoice with Mrs. Folorunsho Alakija, distinguished business leader and philanthropist, on her 70th birthday on July 15, 2021, extolling her for dedicating her resources to humanitarian causes. The President and the First Lady thank Mrs. Alakija for being an ardent supporter of many social, economic, religious and health causes, contributing generously to the fight against COVID-19 in the country through her donations. As a successful entrepreneur who has been acknowledged locally and globally, the President also recognizes Alakija's passion in monitoring and mentoring young people to make informed investment and business decisions, thereby making a difference in their communities and across the nation. On behalf of his family, the President offers his best wishes to this remarkable Nigerian, praying Almighty God to grant her more years of robust health and happiness. Let me ask you a question. Would you rather see me seated here, bringing you News Extra, or a robot? We take another breather at this point to return with an emerging technology that threatens man's sense of dominance and productivity. Company begins operation in third quarter 2021 as Nigerian Exchange Group All Share Index slightly gained to close trading session in positive territory. Let's talk business, and here is Musa Abubakar with the business news.
So, the central bank says the 15 trillion naira infrastructure corporation of Nigeria, Infraco, will begin operations in the third quarter of this year. CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, who announced this during an investors webinar, explained that analysts estimated that over 350 trillion naira is needed to support infrastructure investments over the next 10 years, adding that if these investments were made, Nigeria is likely to attain a gross domestic product growth rate of over 10%.
We believe that through partnership with the private sector, Infracorp will be able to leverage close to 15 trillion naira over the coming years, which would help to close the gap on our infrastructure funding needs and would help to catalyze growth in other key sectors of our economy.
The equities market closed Wednesday's trading on a positive note. The all-share index climbed 0.04% to close at 7,872.55 basis points, and equity capitalization at 19.7 trillion naira. 197.2 million shares, worth 2.1 billion naira, were traded in 3,610 deals. UBA, Access, and Zenith Bank were the most traded shares, with a combined volume of 82.1 million shares valued at 953.6 million naira. Well, that concludes business news. It's back to you, Fatima.
Oh, thank you so much, Musa, for the business package. Now, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, is developing a tertiary institutions entrepreneurship scheme that will change the mindset of graduates from job seekers to job creators through skills development. A governor of the Apex Bank, Godwin Emefiele, disclosed this at the 35th Conference of the Association of Vice Chancellors of Nigerian Universities holding in Kano. Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports.
An estimated 600,000 graduates from tertiary institutions annually join the labor market after participating in the National Youth Service Corps program, seeking for white-collar jobs, a situation that contributed to the rising nation's unemployment profile. To address this trend, the Central Bank of Nigeria is partnering tertiary institutions across the country to foster an entrepreneurial culture in youth. The Conference of Association of Vice Chancellors of Nigerian Universities also seeks to address similar issues bothering education system in Nigeria. These include sustainable funding, digital learning, artificial intelligence, and quantum studies.
Entrepreneurship now needs to be taken to the universities. We need to take it to our graduates. It's time we move away from our graduates looking at white-collar jobs. They need to go down, back, being orientated, being trained in entrepreneurship, and that's where we are here.
We are accordingly optimistic that, as the case with previous assemblies, the outcome of this year's conference will showcase the impactful strategies for improving the quality of tertiary education system in our country.
It's not only heartwarming, but also gratifying as a matter of national and international importance relating to university education in Nigeria.
I urge all our members to remain strong and supportive of this enduring association.
The conference has the theme Pathways to Green Investing, Creating Funding, and DARQ Technologies in Nigerian Universities. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
The initiative of the federal government to promote advanced technology and development of human capital has given rise to the use of blockchain technology and artificial intelligence in providing solutions to industrial and environmental challenges. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Adeni Adebayo, stated this at the inauguration of an electric vehicle power charging station in Lagos. Abolade Salami reports.
As the world evolves with the introduction of new technology characterized by robotics and artificial intelligence, Nigeria is not taking a back seat in our quest to be identified as an innovative, creative and research-based country. Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment Adeniyi Adebayo said the strategic transition from fossil fuel to pure electric power will help reduce environmental pollution with its attendant emission of carbon dioxide.
It will offer students first-hand experience with the latest innovations in mobility and renewable power technology. It is strategized to be an effective platform for focused research and development into even more applicable vehicle electrification solutions for Nigeria and Africa.
The need to provide a veritable platform for the youth to unleash their technical know-how and innovation with special focus on automotive technology, stakeholders agreed, will all bring about an improvement in the solar power electric vehicle charging stations across the country.
Electric vehicles are not just the future, they are the now. The whole world is moving towards transitioning from fossil fuel to clean energy powered vehicles, renewable energy. So such a transportation solution needs sustainable power. We understand that the opportunities are in renewable energy. So what better way than to leverage that sustainable energy to power these transportation solutions?
As the country rates herself among nations of the world with an assembled electric vehicle to actively protect the environment through zero-emission vehicles, industry players are calling for an effective monitoring of the solar-powered vehicle charging stations. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Forest covers are popular as natural shield against extreme weather conditions. They sequester carbon, serving as lungs of the earth. Now, depending on this natural shield by millions of Nigerians, have become a conflict between immediate survival and sustainable livelihood. Let's join on Nge Fanface on this report on climate change, charcoal and livelihoods.
Climate change is fast becoming a global emergency, a pandemic of sorts. It is a reality that is forcing many countries to make drastic adjustments in energy production and consumption. Clean and green energy transition is fast replacing fossil fuels in several countries of the world. This global response to carbon emissions notwithstanding, many homes in Nigeria still depend on charcoal as fuel for cooking. The Melamba Coal Company in Kokona, Nasarawa State produces more than 100 bags of charcoal every week. It is a family business run by natives who are oblivious of the effect of their enterprise on the climate.
I reached 15 years. I do this kind of business.
Anya Daniel understands the effects of charcoal production on her health, but has no idea it is destroying the environment.
Go pack firewood for bush, carry corn fish, water, put for ground, carry garma, fish. The time you go open myself, fire, heat, they worry you for your body. See how we don't leak duka.
Like we men, you no go feel power
you no go fit power because that's heat where they if you put water, that heat where they come out. If the heat catch you well. If you no drink milk with pan oil this thing.
Yusuf Sharma tells me how years of burning firewood has impacted the fertility of the land.
To farm in the place we have burnt charcoal, all the crops will not bear it because that place is no more fertile. More than 7 years now I'm into the business.
In those 7 years that you have been cutting trees to produce charcoal, have you planted any tree?
No.
Why?
Not for us to cut and buy, we will not be able. We don't have that money to buy tree and plant.
Once a densely forested location, Melamba Coal Company now displays remnants of felled trees. The situation in several communities across the country where charcoal is produced. Distant sound of jigsaw got me moving further into nearby woods. It is one of the many locations from where Melamba Coal now gets its supply of raw materials, fresh felled trees for charcoal. Yusuf Bala is the architect of this distraction.
As we cut, you know, in our bush now, as we cut some small one they grow. That's why we know the plant. Now we not get seed where we could plant. That's the only thing.
One could not help but wonder if there are no regulations to discourage unfettered deforestation for cooking fuels. Minister of Environment, Mohammed Mahmoud Abubakar tells me there are.
As we stand, exploitation of charcoal has been banned. Forest product suspended.
The situation, I found out, is a dilemma of sorts, a battle between livelihoods and sustainable use of natural resources.
So we are trying to adapt in our own way and give our people alternative source of not only livelihood, alternative source of fuel as well.
Experts in the environment sector tell me that this dilemma can be resolved by providing clean cook stoves as alternative to the use of charcoal.
Firewood and all those unsuitable fuels are leading to 94,300 deaths annually.
Nigeria is upscaling from, domestic and traditional cooking methods to LPG.
But how soon before the likes of Anya battling smoke-induced health challenges? Shama secretly bemoaning the loss of his fertile land, and Bala waging jigsaw war against trees, get the needed alternative cooking fuels and better sources of livelihoods to change their line of business. Onengiye Fine Face, NTA News.
Amazing, Onengi. Thank you so much for that report. Now, I want you to imagine waking up one day to realize the world is being run by robots and your job taken over by them. Well, whether you would welcome the idea or not, artificial intelligence appears to be growing at an increasing rate and at the center of emerging technology. ICT correspondent Joseph Johnson in this special report takes a look at the good, the bad, and the ugly sides of AI in the 21st century.
It might sound surreal, or maybe you might say Nigeria is not at that technology-driven stage yet, like other developed nations of the world. But if COVID-19 has taught humans anything, it would be that the world is a global village, and robots might just be part of humans' existence.
Given the current state and trajectory of AI, many are worried, not because it is not good, but because it is a threat.
You are thinking of creating a robot now to take over some people's jobs, and we assume it is lack of job that is the cause of this insecurity that we are battling now in our country. So tell me, for instance, now when you create the robot and take some job of some other people, what would they do?
Our welcome robots takes most of our work, because if we invest robots, it will relieve us from stress.
AI expert Professor Abiodun Aibenu explains what artificial intelligence portends for a country like Nigeria.
He said that AI is applicable in all fields of human endeavors. In Nigeria, we are presently having security challenges. One way of solving that is the application of artificial intelligence in tracking, in monitoring, in prediction.
Already, Nigeria is looking at opportunities in emerging markets and had in 2020 inaugurated the National Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics. But how has it fared so far?
Artificial intelligence and robotics, these two areas will drive the future. Digital economy will rely on them because we're looking at having robots in agriculture, also having robots in areas related to security and so on.
A World Economic Forum report indicates that about 85 million jobs will be replaced by machines with AI by the year 2025. While that may sound like a terrifying statistic, there is a flip side, as the same report states that about 97 million new jobs will be created by 2025 due to AI. As it evolves, experts say artificial intelligence will play an increasingly critical role in shaping the way the world works, lives, and plays. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
I guess you're aware of the resurgence of cholera in parts of the country with the attendant loss of lives. So are you contributing to the spread or preventing it? I urge you to stay right there for our next segment for a beat on health and other stories. Thanks for staying. As important as sugar is, Nigerians consume more than the country can produce, with imported refined ones supplementing the 1.7 million metric tons requirement in the country annually. This, the federal government has been striving to upturn as it now moves to the phase of real field sugar production, having recorded success in stopping importation of refined sugar with its national master plan. Executive Secretary of the National Sugar Development Council, Zak Adidiji, says the presidential intervention in the sector has been helpful. Musbaud and Wahab reports.
Nigeria has a 10-year master plan to be self-sufficient in sugar production as the country consumes about 1.7 million metric tons of a substance annually. 7 years into the implementation of a backward integration policy of a master plan, the certified major investors are stabilizing, building multi-billion-dollar refining plants, while the pursuit to create 50,000 direct and more than 250,000 indirect jobs continues.
We've installed more than 3 million metric ton capacity of refining, which is almost doubled the local consumption that we have. So we've stopped effectively the importation of these refined sugar. So we've limited the importation to only 3 operators who are committed to our backward integration program that we are doing.
Now, the next phase is the real field production, which requires not less than 238,000 hectares of land for cultivation of cane. But this phase has come face to face with challenges which include land access and community hostility, funding and human capital, among others. But then, the council says it has found a potential solution.
It is our intention to have a forum of sugar-producing states. So we need the collaboration of governors of all these sugar-producing belts to come together and to help us resolve the problem of land and community hostility.
When actualized, the Sugar Master Plan aims to save Nigeria of about $10 billion in forex. In Abuja, Musbao and Wahab, NTA News.
Let's talk health. The resurgence of cholera in parts of the country is one worrisome development that has put relevant organizations saddled with mitigating the impact of the disease on their toes. Why has cholera outbreak currently reported in 17 states and the Federal Capital Territory, with over 300 lives lost so far? The remainder recurring decimal, despite government's efforts of reversing the ugly trend of open defecation, said to be the major contributory factor. Health correspondent Rabi Abdullah seeks answers to this and more in the report.
Cholera, or bacterial disease causing severe diarrhea and dehydration, is usually spread through contaminated food or water. Cholera occurs in endemic countries such as Nigeria, mostly during the rainy season. Call it a case of what goes around comes around, and you won't be wrong.
Once there is open defecation, immediately rain set in. The run water will wash the feces into the river. The president has issued order number 9 that targets the achievement of Nigeria open defecation by 2025. But the problem is the state are not buying in, and also the local government are not buying in.
The current outbreak in 17 states and the FCT is said to have recorded more than 50,000 suspected cases, out of which 17,512 have been confirmed, with more than 300 deaths recorded. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, is coordinating the national response co-led by the Federal Ministry of Environment and that of Water Resources in view of the link between cholera, water, sanitation, and hygiene.
The OC was activated with partnership of the stakeholders. The states are the ones to guide, to lead in this response. We are there to support technically and probably with commodities. And all the states we were able to give them, commodities like IV fluids, all the resources like RDTs, rapid diagnostic tests.
Although said to be quite expensive, vaccination is a component of the national response to the current outbreak.
From 2012 to 2017, assessment was done on hotspots and what is the real trend of cholera data. And then a vaccine plan was developed. But we have presented this plan. Our partners have agreed to start vaccination, at least this present outbreak, in Bauchi.
Experts believe that a behavioral change among the populace that complements the federal government's renewed impetus on zero tolerance to open defecation, backed with the necessary infrastructure, with time, might just change the narrative around Nigeria's cholera story. In Abuja, Rabi Abdullah, NTA News.
The Christian Council of Nigeria is championing a week-long campaign to end violence against women and children in the country. Kenneth Nanim reports that the Public Enlightenment Program is in line with the UNICEF project under the European Union United Nations Spotlight Initiative.
Gender-based violence is a global phenomenon. This government at various levels, individuals and organizations are not relenting in stemming the ugly trend. Now, the Christian Council of Nigeria is directing attention to the ill as it challenges religious institutions to use the gospel of truth to fight violence, exemplified by Jesus Christ, who gave protection to women and children.
Jesus took little children into his arms and blessed them. Jesus made them the best examples of the kingdom life and insisted that doing good to them attracts the mercies of heaven, and doing evil to them, the condemnation of heaven. Jesus adjusted the social role of women in his time. He loved them and he worked with them.
The campaign is also aimed at breaking the silence culture and deal with the issues of stigmatization, as well as getting justice for victims.
If there is a safe space to speak, people can come. When I know that when I speak, I will be believed, I will speak. When I know that if I speak, that I will not be judged, because most times we turn the victims into a perpetrator. We are also trying to tell leaders of the church, give protection to a woman who is being abused in her home. You don't tell her go back because the Bible says you should not divorce, and so because of that, go back until she dies.
We are targeting 6 states as our pilot state, and in the FCT we've gone to about 3 area council. After this pilot, I believe this sensitization will continue.
The religious body also urged citizens to complement government's effort in tackling all forms of insecurity that give rise to violence on women and children. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
And on the sports scene, the last European Football Championship ended at Wembley Stadium in London with the host